Recently, President Ahmed Bola Tinubu signed into law a new Nigeria Tax Administration Act 2025. This act has generated a lot of issues, some of them misleading. Today we have an expert in tax administration who is here to enlighten us. Join me as I welcome to the studio Mrs. RAHILA OLU-SILAS, Secretary to the Plateau State Internal Revenue Service. It's a pleasure meeting you on Meeting Point.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Let's begin by understanding this new tax administration regime that has commenced in Nigeria. Tell us about it and how it differs from previous ones that were in operation.
Okay, thank you so much for the question. And yes, we have a Nigeria Tax Administration Act 2025, which was signed into law by the President. And as you rightly said, it's called Nigeria Tax Administration Act, meaning it covers all the states in Nigeria and doesn't only cover just the states. It applies to the federal government, the state, and the local government. The purpose for this Tax Administration Act is to ensure that there's uniformity of processes and procedures across all the levels of government, so that the taxpayer knows that what is applicable in one state is also applicable in another state. So prior to now, what we had were different pockets of legislation operated by different states. So most times you will find out that we have to go to another state to try and learn from that state what they are doing and how they are carrying out their processes and procedures. But right now, it is harmonized and uniformed. It's a uniformed way of carrying out processes and procedures all across the state. So it actually guides the taxpayer on what to expect, and is applicable to diverse entities, is applicable to companies, is applicable to individuals.
This unification of the tax administrative processes and procedures, you've of course mentioned that is across the country, but you know, there's still a bit of misunderstanding. What is this unification process all about? Can you give us a little bit more for us to understand what the unification of the tax administration is all about? Okay,
so number one is registration. So what this law has done is to make registration with the relevant tax authority. So if you are in Plateau State, the relevant tax authority is Plateau State Internal Revenue Service. So it has made registration with Plateau State Internal Revenue Service mandatory. Prior to now, it wasn't like that. So everyone is told to come and register, but we may not follow you up on your registration. But now it is mandatory for you to register for tax. Once you are a taxable adult, for you to register for tax with the Internal Revenue Service and obtain a tax ID. Now that tax ID for us is called our TIN. So that TIN will be used to relate with you any communication you are having with the Internal Revenue Service, not just the Internal Revenue Service, but also with banks. Banks will demand for you to supply them your tax identification number on any transaction you are having in Nigeria. You must provide your TIN.
So it talks about taxable adult.
Yes.
So are you saying that even if I'm not earning salary, what I mean not earning salary, it may not necessarily be a civil servant, a public servant, or an entrepreneur, if I'm just an adult?
Okay, so
it's mandatory I have a tax.
So taxable adult basically means those that earn income. So once you earn an income, you must come and register for tax purposes with the Internal Revenue Service.
So how are members of the public who are low-income earners and, if I may use the word, unlearned and do not keep records of their income or track their income, how are they expected to even bring forth their tax and even comply with the requirement of filing with the Internal Revenue Service?
Okay, so one of the provisions of the law is that every taxable person must keep books of accounts. even low-income earners, even those in the informal sector, they must keep books of accounts. The reason for that is so that they will be able to file their returns. You know, prior to now, you find out that an institution like yours now will file your payee on your behalf. Now, what the law demands is for not only your institution to file your tax returns, you also, as an employee, must file your own personal returns, because you may have additional sources of income, like people that keep poultry, people that do fishery, people that have any other thing that you do. People do buy and sell. You must file your tax return as an individual. So those that are the low-income earners, and what this law has done is that they've given you the opportunity to engage certain persons to assist you to carry out your obligations. So for the low-income earners, the Plateau State Internal Revenue Service, going forward, we provide for them simplified way of coming to file their return. So it's not going to be a cumbersome process. It's going to be a process that it will be easy for somebody to do. But what is most important is that you must keep books of accounts. And the requirement is that you must keep the books of accounts in English language. Now, let's take it that somebody now can't speak English. So when the tax authority demands for your books of account, it will be your responsibility to translate it or transcribe it into English. So definitely the burden will be on the person to do so, and the person will bear the cost. So the person just has to get somebody to transcribe it to English and submit the books of accounts to the Internal Revenue Service.
Won't that discourage such a person? Because bearing the cost, you know, by nature, we tend to, you know,
yes.
And as a business-minded person,
yes.
you know, you tend to want to reduce costs. Wouldn't that now add to your cost of doing business?
Okay, I don't think so. I think that what I know about this law is to change our behavior towards tax. So it's going to change the way we act, because many people don't feel they should pay tax. So this law is ensuring that we are tax conscious, and it starts from keeping of books. But definitely at the beginning it may be a struggle, but you'll find out that later on it will be something that will be a walkover.
Yes, you know, talking about this tax administration interfacing with the revenue service, whether at the state or federal, you know, for instance, the stock market, you know, you don't just go directly to the stock market to trade. You go through brokers. Are we going to see, what I'm saying, can taxable persons represent themselves while interfacing with the Internal Revenue Service, or do we need somebody to engage an expert like the brokers, you know, to interface with them?
Oh, definitely. So the taxpayer can interface directly with the Internal Revenue Service. But if the taxpayer is more comfortable to engage a tax agent, the taxpayer can do so. However, for us to govern that environment as well, the law provides that the Internal Revenue Service will accredit the tax agents. That means tax agents that should be engaged, the Internal Revenue Service will bring out a list of accredited tax agents. The purpose of this is not to control, but to guide any taxpayer who doesn't know who to approach to represent them. All they need to do is to go to the platform of Internal Revenue Service and check accredited tax agents, and anybody on that list, they can get them to represent them.
Okay, so how is the issue of tax planning handled under this new law?
Okay, so tax planning is a way of a tax organization, an organization that wants to pay lesser tax, and it is allowed by the law. You can look at the law and see how you can reduce your taxes to pay, you know, lesser tax, you know, is not illegal at all. So it is quite different from tax evasion. Tax evasion on its own is illegal. Now, tax planning is taking advantage of certain exemptions, certain incentives, so that you can pay lesser tax. Now, what this law requires is for the person that is entering into any tax planning arrangement to disclose it to the Internal Revenue Service. The reason is because you may think you are doing tax planning, but you are doing tax evasion. Oh. So when you disclose it to the Internal Revenue Service, we can properly guide you to let you know that this thing, yes, you fall under, you know, tax planning, but this one is tax evasion. You can't have any arrangement in this area.
So I'm quite interested in this tax planning and tax evasion. Can you give us more insight into this particular tax planning issue?
Okay, so I should give you insight so that you can reduce
yes,
it. Okay, so as a tax administrator, yes. I don't think I should do that.
So I have to get a tax agent.
You need to get somebody to help you plan your taxes.
Okay,
so that, because me, I want more revenues from you.
Okay.
I don't want you to pay less taxes.
Okay. So I'm sure going to get a tax agent to help me do that. Yeah. So to file a tax reform, a person must be assessed.
Yes.
And can a person self-assess, or do would the Internal Revenue Service assess the person?
Definitely. So you can self-assess. So what you do, and the law provides it for it to be electronically. So what you need to do is to go to the platform and click the menu for self-assessment. Now, you can assess yourself, even if it's nil, you are reporting nil. However, once you submit it, it is the responsibility of the Internal Revenue Service to decide whether to accept it or not. If they accept it, it's fine. You pay whatever it is you have assessed yourself. If not, they can take what you have submitted and also add additional assessments, or altogether they can reject it and now, based on their best of judgment, assess you rightly. Now, if they assess you rightly and they serve you the assessment, you can object.
Oh, how do you do that?
So how you object is, you write in writing, you write to the Internal Revenue Service 30 days after you have received that assessment. Now, once you object, and let's say after 90 days, the Internal Revenue Service doesn't respond to you, that is taken. That objection is taken. What you have submitted is what you will pay. However, if they respond to you and they can invite you to bring more documents, they can invite you to come so that they can have a personal chat with you so that you can look into your documents. Now, when both of you agree, they will now revise your assessment, and the assessment that you have now agreed will now be the final assessment. However, if both of you don't agree, you have the right to appeal. Then you can appeal to the Tax Appeal Tribunal and state your case so that you can get judgment either in your favor or in the favor of the Internal Revenue Service. If you carry out a transaction in a foreign currency, you will be assessed and you will make payments in that foreign currency. For example, if your business is done in Naira, you will be assessed and you will pay the assessment in Naira. However, if you carry out a business in dollars, pounds, euro, even cryptocurrency, you'll be assessed in that currency and you will pay that currency, meaning the Internal Revenue Services are allowed to hold accounts in those currencies.
So when you are assessing and I don't have, maybe I change my phone number.
Yes, so you are required to notify the Internal Revenue Service of any change of particulars. Very important. This is because the law allows us to serve you notice of assessment in the in electronical means. So we can use your phone number, we can use your email to serve you an assessment, a notice of assessment. Now, if you change your number, you change your email, and we are not aware of it, and we serve you we serve you the notice to that email or that phone number, you cannot come and say you did not receive it. So the assessment stands. So it is the responsibility is placed on you to notify us of any change of particulars. Even if you change from Buzabuji to Rayfield, you have changed your home address, you must come immediately and notify the internal revenue.
So it means this new tax administration, a lot is placed on the taxpayer.
Like I said earlier on, the behavior of the citizens, the public, needs to change. So it is helping us change our behavior in regards to tax.
This is quite interesting. So apart from the tax appeal tribunal, is there any other alternative dispute resolution medium that can be taken advantage of? Because when you talk about tribunals, some people, you know, don't really want to go through the process of going through the law courts and all that.
Yes. So we have, in the new law, we have the creation of the Office of the Ombudsman. Now, that office is created specifically for the taxpayer. That's what I'm saying. This new reform is strictly for the taxpayer, to help you to organize your business and to reduce all the burdens that you have had. So this is an administrative office. Now, this office is where you take your queries to, where the tax authority is not responding to you as they should, where you have issues with tax officials. So if you come to our office and you find out that some things are not straight, our processes, you know, and you find out that there's one, you know, you can go and take the matter to the ombudsman, who will speak on your behalf. However, it is, like I said, is an alternative way of not going to court to address issues, yes, without going to court. So it is more administrative. And I believe going forward, because like I keep on saying, I'm a lawyer, I don't really think it's right for people to have issues with a tax authority, because every case is being published. And one thing, if you have an issue with a tax authority, it's as if you are not willing to pay taxes. So that's why I support this ombudsman, where you can, instead of going to court, where your name will be registered, or the name of your company or your business will be registered against the Internal Revenue Service, you go to the ombudsman to see how you can amicably resolve your matter with the Internal Revenue Service.
Okay, so what's the next line of action for the public? What should they start doing now to ensure that they comply with the new Nigerian Tax Administration Act 2025?
So number one, they need to get registered if they have not registered. If they've not obtained a TIN, they need to go and obtain a TIN. Anyone that has a TIN, you don't need to go back to the Internal Revenue Service to obtain a TIN. So they need to go and get a TIN. Number two, they need to start keeping records of books of accounts of their income. They have to practice it. We have to change our culture towards tax. We like to travel to other countries where tax is working. But like I say, there is a difference between paying of tax and the judicious use of tax. A lot of people want to first see the judicious use of tax before they pay their tax. It's not like that. You pay your tax, then let's come and address the judicious use of tax. And that's why us as the Internal Revenue Service, what we do is we try to show videos of your tax at work. So we show you what the government has done with your tax, and we are going to do more of that so that we encourage the taxpayer, for them to know that we are judiciously using your tax for the good of Plateau State. So number three is for the taxpayers to wait and always go to our platform to get informed. So getting informed is very important. The ignorance of the law is not an excuse. So somebody cannot say that I am ignorant, so please pardon me. It's not like that again. I just want to say that there are so many penalties for not doing all of this. So meaning, if you don't come and register for tax, I will penalize you and you will have to pay. If you don't keep books of account, you can say, oh, I don't know how to write. You will be penalized. So to get informed, stay tuned to our website. Always go to our website and go and read. We'll definitely make information available. Now, the other one is for them to, okay, fine, I may not know what to do. Like I said, stay tuned. Plateau State Internal Revenue Service will soon release the list of tax agents, accredited tax agents. Get one of them so that they can help you organize your, yes.
So can we have the address of your website, you know, and is there a number that they could call to,
okay,
for additional information?
Yes, so our website is www.psirs.gov.ng. For the phone number, it's on the website. So there's a contact address on the website, and once you go there, you'll find there. We also have on our platform an AI tool that can answer your questions. So if you have any question that you want to get answered, just go to the AI tool, just by the right, the downside corner, and ask your question concerning this tax administration law, and you will find the answers there.
Yes, we've talked about the public, you know, and what they need to do to ensure compliance. What's the next line of action for the Internal Revenue Service? What should the public expect from the service?
Okay, so the public should expect more engagement, stakeholders engagement. We had one just last week, so we're going to have more of that with different sectors so that we're specific on what you need to do to comply. Number two, we're going to bring out guidance notes. So we're not just going to leave the public like that. We're going to bring out guidance notes for them to always refer to so that they are properly guided. We're also going to bring out the list of accredited tax agents. We're also going to open more points for registration. So you will hear in the news, on the radio, the different points that will be accessible to taxpayers for those that don't have a TIN, for them to obtain their TIN.
Yes. Before we wrap up this program, what message do you have for Nigerians out there on this new Nigerian Tax Administration Act 2025?
Okay, it's a good one. It's a reform that I have supported from its inception. Now, in Plateau State, we had a law which is the Plateau State Revenue Law 2020. And this was exactly what we wanted to get done in that law. Now it has now been brought to the federal level, and everyone is cashing into it. So we're very proud of this particular reform, and I'm calling on the people to get informed and comply, because what is important is compliance. And where you are compliant, there will be no need for penalties or fear of anything, but you will see the judicious use of revenue. I just want to say one thing about taxes. Taxes are very important because they are required for government to move. And most times, many people, like I say, want to see the judicious use of revenue, but are not paying those taxes. Like, for us to see a better Plateau State, we have to be tax compliant.
Well, okay. For a better Plateau State, you have to be tax compliant. You pay and you get your services. Do join us next week for another exciting episode of Meeting Point.